is I'm going to start working on building a new app. I was trying to come up with an idea to go off of something fun, and there's a game that I enjoy playing called Fuse, and so I'm going to try building that. Basically this game here, it's a fun game. It's cooperative. You have to try to solve puzzles based off of dice and coordinate together to figure out who should get which dice. It's kind of like a strategy game. You're under pressure for a 10-minute timer. A little fun. So, currently using a Trello board to kind of like map out my plan for how I'm going to build it. The thought is I'm going to use my existing portfolio site. I just started working on this about a week ago. I just want to put something up, something simple. So yeah, it's just really simple. It's a portfolio site that I can host whatever I want in here, and then I have one app going so far, which is just like this little daily site runner app. I think it's in working order. Yeah, it's in working order. So the idea now would be we're going to create a new tab here. It's going to add a tab, and that tab will host our new game, which is going to be Fuse. It'll probably take a couple of different episodes to get this going. But baby steps. So let's see. On the Trello board, first up, I have a bug to fix. Actually, that might be fun. So there's currently a bug that I have in my app where if you've never visited the app before, it won't allow you to add. So for instance, if I went to the hosted version of it in a new tab, that's not what I meant to do. Okay, so the bug that we're working with today is if I try to add anything here, it's not going to work. The reason being is there's nothing in local storage, which is currently trying to access and iterate over. So I use local storage to persist all of the data so that it can live through like a page refresh and things like that. No database at the moment. And so the bug is that if you've never visited the page before and you've never used anything in local storage, I didn't guard against null for that. And so if you'll notice here, we're trying to call local storage.getItem, and this comes back as null. When we try to do a spread operator over that null, we get this complaint that it's not an iterable function, so or iterable data. So what we need to do is create a null check, and that was in the daily sites. So we'll come over here, and the null check needs to be when we are grabbing this one, I believe. And let's see how it's probably the best way to do it would be let's create a little if equals. We're going to create a little if block here. Or actually, and we're going to say if stored tabs, and then we'll say, oh, wrong one. I didn't even see what that was. That was cool. Oh, I got a follower. Fun, fun. Is that who's on the call right now, Matt? Is that who's on the call right now, Matt? All right, so you know it. That's right. All right, so back to this. So the null check we're going to do here is if this is null, this is going to come back as a falsy, and it's going to not trigger this if block. So what we need to do is put back that same code that we had there. This one right here. And we'll say new tabs. And what we're doing instead, we're going to turn this into a let. And we'll go ahead and set it to an empty array, or initialize it as an empty array. That's the words we use. All right, and so the idea would be we have new tabs. Ooh, wait, we can even do this. This will be fun. New tabs, and we'll say new tabs is equal to tab, and then we can do this, new tabs, spread stored tabs. So what that's doing right there is it's just saying that we're going to create this variable, new tabs, and it's going to be initialized to the array with our new tab that we want, which is this input value that we're getting from our page. And then if we do have stored tabs, we will go ahead and add those stored tabs into the array that we already have. I wonder if we have a bug here. I think this needs to be like this. Yep. So we have to spread our first array and then spread our second array. All right. And then we can go ahead and test that by going over here. So I have it running locally. How is the audio? Can you guys hear me? I've never done this before, so it's all learning. And then the way that I would trigger the bug would be by coming in here and removing this. And then this should let's just make sure it goes into where we're thinking. So daily sites, and then so let's see. The idea should be it should hit our null check, and it should come in here because, oh wait, no, I just deleted it. So it should be null and it shouldn't go there. Should avoid that. Okay. So it hits our null check, stored tabs is null, and I'll go ahead and put a breakpoint to prove that we don't go into there. Skips line 49, so that's a good thing. And that was where we had our error, was because it's trying to spread null. So that would not be proper JavaScript. We go ahead and press play. There we go. Cool. So bug is fixed. We'll go ahead and commit that. And so if you're not familiar, I'm using git, which is a version control. I have some alias commands like gs is really get status. You'll see we have some changes in there. I always like to see my difference, so I do a get diff where my alias is gd. You can see I added things like a semicolon, even though we have automatic semicolon insertion. I created, see, I'm very inconsistent with the semicolons. Created my null check. Here's some CSS I was working on for my main portfolio site. Just making some changes, fixing some bugs. So we're gonna call this commit. Go ahead and add everything. Commit-m. And our commit message will be fixing bugs and general cleanup. Sweet. And we'll go ahead and push that up to GitHub. So now all of our changes are stored on the interwebs. Trying to reply to some people. Okay, so oh, this never resolved. That's a little concerning. Wonder if my internet is a little slow. Also, I'm watching football in the background, so that could be dragging. If you guys like football, holler at me. So back to our Trello board. Got to move this into doing. We went ahead and fixed that. Next up is to redeploy the site. So I currently have it deployed, which is pretty cool. It's a bit of a process though. So I'm currently serving it through a statically hosted site, GitHub Pages. And so I have to build like a static build to hand it. So what we're gonna do, make sure that all of our changes are committed, everything's good, where we want to be, and then we're going to run npm run build. What that's going to do is it's going to use React scripts, which is a library that I'm using to basically run a bunch of logic to reorganize all of our code into like already transpiled code so that browsers can understand it. And that's because this application is built in Java, or in React. And so we use things like not actual HTML. This is JSX. And so it needs to be translated into legitimate HTML. So now we have our build. The build output is in this build folder. I don't have a fancy way of moving this over. So I'm probably just going to do it in Finder for right now. Inevitably, what I plan to do is get it linked, but I haven't done that yet. So if we give me a quick second while I do this on my other screen. It's in here and then dev. By the way, football's been pretty interesting today. I don't know if you're into it, but it's been wild watching Kyler Murray. So we have this, and then we delete and replace. Fabulous. So what I'm doing right now is I'm replacing all my files. There we go. Replace, replace, and replace. I've updated my deploy. So I have a different repo for my deploy to GitHub Pages. Just makes it a little bit easier. Extra protection. All right, cd which means change directory into my dev folder, which then has my david.shibley.io. And we're going to add all these changes. New release, why not? Words are hard. And we'll push that up. And then hopefully we'll test it out in the deployed version. And everything will hopefully work. And that we won't have that same bug that we had there. So if we refresh, there's our page, that's good. And we go to the site runner. And we add something. Oh no, we have the bug still. Must not have updated. Yep. So either there was a problem with the way that I replaced the code and the build didn't actually succeed in the way that I would have imagined it to. Or it didn't push up, it didn't get my changes, I'm not really sure. Let's see, static, JavaScript. Oh, that's gonna be ugly. I don't want to do that. Okay. That's not even gonna do anything. All right. Not 100% sure how to fix that. We might have to come back and fix that bug a different day. Let's move on to the fun stuff. What everybody's here to see. I'm going to move you back down a little bit orange. So I have all my ideas for this new app in this orange tag. I think that might make sense. It's kind of similar to Fuse. So we're doing the new app idea. We can go ahead and take the question mark off of that. We already know it's going to be Fuse. And we'll go ahead and take our first card, which would be just simple, create a new tab for Fuse. So the way that I have this site running, don't need you either. Actually, I do need you, don't I? Nope, that's not what I need. I need you. Nope, I need you. Okay, finally on the right page here. So my app is running basically like a pseudo routing, because it's a lot to get routing up and running, and so I didn't want to tackle that just yet. Instead, I'm basically have these like tabs. As you click tabs, it replaces the element underneath. But as you can see in the URL, like the page isn't actually changing. So I'm not using any routing. So the way we're going to create a new tab is just by following the pseudo routing option that I have. Basically what we have to do is we're going to create a new tab this way. Tab, oh, would help if I capitalized. And actually, you know what? Let's be speedy. So copy what we did before. And we're going to say Fuse, proxy 2, and ally is for like handicaps. We also need to create an actual tab panel similar to this. And then these tab panels are basically what you're observing here. These up here. So when this loads, we're going to see another one for Fuse. If we click it, right now what's going to happen is it's going to load the same daily sites running. But we're about to change that. So we'll go ahead and we'll take this and we're going to call this Fuse. We haven't actually made this element yet, or this component, but we're going to go build it next. And then we need to import Fuse. So that's going to be the same folder. Actually, I think for this one we're going to create a folder. So it's going to be Fuse. do that is we create a new folder. We're going to call that fuse. And within fuse, we're going to create a new file, and we're going to call that fuse.js. And the .js is just like a file extension that tells computers that it's a text file that contains JavaScripting, JavaScript language. So first things first, let's just return something simple. We're going to need to import React into the file. It helps if I capitalize. And that comes from React. And this is just saying go to my node modules directory, grab React out of node modules, and import all of that code into this file so that we have access to all of the scope of the data, of the information that lives within that folder. Pretty straightforward. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our component. So we're just going to call it const fuse equals. And I'm a huge fan of React functional components. All about them. But if you ever are interested to see an example of like classical components, I'm available to show that to you and help you out. Yeah, the NFL is going to sue me. I didn't even see that message. That's funny. They very well might if I ever started like getting to affiliate level and started making money off of this. But they can't sue me until then. I don't know. Alright, so here's our functional component, and we can just return something simple at first. So we'll return, what do we want to do? I'm using Material UI as my UI framework, and so I'll probably end up using like a lot of those components. If you see here, like all these that are called like container cards, card content stuff, those are all coming from Material, the Material library. So it's probably what we're going to do. You're probably going to watch me make a lot of switching over to Materials page, checking out what I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to use. So I think we're going to do a container. That sounds right. We'll auto import that. Thank you, VS Code. I love things like that. Okay, so we have our container. Auto completed the close tag for me. That's fantastic. And we'll just say, hello, Twitch. Hell Twitch. I'm a hell Twitcher. Hello, Twitch. Let's see if it's working. Oh, it wouldn't work. Why wouldn't that work? Oh. Thankfully, I have code editors that clue me into things. Like the fact that that variable is great. It's not being used anywhere, which tells me I forgot to export default fuse. And what that's saying is now take all of this code that I've created here within the scope of this variable fuse and export it as my default logic from this file to anybody that may be wanting to consume it, like this app that we just built a second ago. So now I think we're good. Let's go ahead and give it a check-see. And should reload. I have hot reloading. So hot. And that's fuse. Hey, look, hello Twitch. We're in business. Looking good. Okay. I think that counts as building out our new tab for fuse. We'll go ahead and mark that done. We have a couple to play from here. We could create an inventory of cards, which would require looking at some example cards. We could create a timer. I feel like that sounds forward. Random dice generator could be fun. That one's going to be a little complicated in that it will need to both generate a random number between 1 and 6, but it'll also need to randomly generate a color between 1 and 5. I believe there's 5 colors in the game. So that one could be interesting too. There's also going to be a need to create a selection engine. So in order for you to play the game, you're going to need to be able to select which dice you want to choose at each roll. We're also going to need to create win engine. And that's just saying, like, we need to create some kind of logic that's able to figure out whether or not the players have won within the time frame. All right, go ahead and raise that up too. I also did some things like sockets and maybe an AI player. Those will be stretch goals down the line. I think they'd be fun. I have worked with sockets before, so hopefully I could dust that off, not be too rusty. Sockets, if you're not familiar, are a way of creating like an open communication line directly between the server and the consumer, like the front end, the browser, the client. And so the idea is you create this open connection where you can continuously pass information back and forth, and instead of having to send requests and waiting for a response from that request, you can just send information across the wire and just get it right back. So that would be something really helpful for games if we were to say try to get this out on the internet and have people be able to play it from across the world. We would need something like sockets. Ideally, don't need it, but it would make the game more fluid. Be, I think, all around just better. So, stretch goals. That's why they have the red on it, really. Anybody have any requests as to what we start on? All right. I'm thinking we do fuse timer. That could be fun. Let's get going. Let's see. Typically, I like to Google things to kind of get an idea of where and how people do things. So let's see, JavaScript timer. See if we can get some examples. Yeah, I know we have timeouts. Yep, countdown timer. That could be cool. I generally don't like W3 schools. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But MDN is usually my go-to. We'll go ahead and give it a try. And let me turn up the music just a smidge. Got some lo-fi hip-hop going for you. Well, for me, really, but for you too. All right, so let's see what they're doing here. They create a new date signature, and then they try to get the time off of it. That makes sense. An interval function. So it looks like it has an interval of every second. It just checks to see what the time is now. It has a countdown date, which is the time in which you set the countdown to. So that could be easy. We could use something kind of similar to this and just always set it for whatever 10 seconds is ahead of us, or sorry, 10 minutes is ahead of us. I don't know, I like this. I'm not sure. It doesn't just jump out at me as being clean. Seems to work though. All right, let's borrow it. Definitely gonna want to rewrite it into ES6 though. All right, so I'm gonna create this function outside of the scope for now. We might end up having to move it in, but oh man, Arizona's just crushing it today, I swear. Cowboys have been having a hard time. So let's see, what's this function gonna be called? Countdown timer. make some edits here though. First of all, let's move that out. I really just need to install Prettier. Do all that auto for me. And then the idea here, we're gonna need to amend this to be a new date of basically the time now, which we can create in there, or not. We'll just do it here. Sorry, no vars. We're gonna say const time now equals new date dot get time. That's cool. And just for testing purposes, we'll do some console logging. Time now. And set that. I don't know if you know, but in your console logs, you can put a little comma here and throw a variable in. So I like to do this to kind of neatly describe what I'm console logging. So yeah, the hope here is that time now should be returning the current time that this function is called. And then the idea, I think, is to figure out how to feed date time time now plus a specific amount of time. So let's see, how do we do that? I bet you just feed it. You could probably feed it time now. How do you do this? Time now, literally just time now plus a certain amount of milliseconds, or let's see, 10 minutes. So that's 1 second. 60 seconds. And then 10 is 10. So theoretically, this should be. Now, our countdown date should be correct, I think. Cool. And then looks like they're using this demo. Get element ID by demo. So in here, it's just a p tag. That's cool. We could borrow that. Question in the chat. It says, do sockets eliminate authentication handshakes after the first one? Great question. Basically, yeah, that's what's happening there. Is you have an initial handshake, and it's, if you can imagine, it's almost like the handshake never lets go. So you have your initial handshake, and then it's just always tied, and it's almost like this free flow of information in between. And one really interesting thing with the sockets there is that, which is different from typical HTTPS protocol, which is that in typical calls that you have on the internet, you will send out a call, and then you wait for a response. The browser will sit there hanging, waiting for the response. Whereas with sockets, it doesn't care as to whether or not there's a response. So you're able to just send information to the server and continue about your business without any concern. And similarly, you can just receive responses from the server without having actually ever sent something. So a great example of that is probably this stream even. I don't know if they're using WebSockets, but they might be. Twitter is a great example of WebSockets. Anything that has like a fire hose of information coming through oftentimes would benefit from WebSockets. I hope that covered it. Okay, so what we were doing, we were putting the p tag into our app here, just so it would know. I'm gonna replace hello Twitch with the p tag. How's that sound? Ooh, that's good. Ooh, that's good. My kitten says hello. This is Gomez. Yeah, sometimes gets a little upset with me for coding too long. He's like, you do this all day. All right, where's our app at? Here we go. I'm gonna move this over to the right side. I don't know why, but it's really easy for me to remember the app I'm working on if it's all the way to the left. Whereas like if it's in here, it gets lost all the time because I create more tabs. Okay, so if we hit fuse, ooh, what happens? I had no idea what was going to happen. Whoa. Those look bad. So I'm checking to see what kind of HTML we have in here. The hope was that we'd have that p tag in there. Oh man, Arizona killing it. I love football. It's just so fun. Okay, so we have this p tag with an ID of demo. That should be fine. And fuse is returning the container. We know that that was working because it said hello Twitch. So it's not that problem. Oh, we're not even using the countdown timer. Okay, so basically the way this one works is it kind of needs to be an iffy, like a immediately invoked function. Or we could just call it on the call of the fuse. So I think it was countdown timer, and then if we just do that, it should be safe. Come on, hot reload. Hey, that's cool. So I got it set for a minute. I guess I was off on my numbers. Milliseconds are hard. Numbers are hard. So we do that again. Is it 10 minutes? Hi, kitten. Hello. Beautiful. Look at that. We got our little timer going. That's cool. And then because this is a set timeout function, one cool thing that we can do with this is we can build in our little basically. So like if we're out of time, when the time counts down, we can trigger something even. I don't think we need days and hours because of the nature of the game. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Which means we really don't need those. Oh man, he just wants me. He's literally biting neck right now. What's up, bro? My cat is biting my neck to try to get me to stop coding. That's pretty funny. Hey, look at that. We got our 10-minute timer. That's pretty cool. Time now. Hotness. Alright, let's convert all this to ES6. Why are you biting me, bro? I appreciate it. Oh man, this cat though. Alright, const. That's cool. So basically all I did was I just converted it from using var, which is an older version of JavaScript, to using consts, which are constant, meaning they're variables that can't change. Just gives a little bit more reliability to the code. You know it's always happening. It's pretty cool. Oh, hey, look at that. They already got it in there. So the idea is they already have this check in here. Once the countdown's over, you can do whatever you want with it. We're not going to write text. What we're going to do instead is we'll clear the interval and we'll trigger the end of the game. So we'll go ahead and make a little comment about that. To do add win engine here. Sweet. Easy to remember. Come back to. All right, so we got our little timer. Let's go ahead and mark that completed on our portfolio Kanban board. I love using Kanban boards. This is Trello, which is pretty great if you're using it for yourself or like just like personal work. My work that I work for in real life would kill me if they knew that I was using a Trello board, probably. I don't actually know. But what I do for a living is build one of these. It's a different one. It's called Rally, but a lot more feature rich. I'm just using Trello because I don't need as complicated of a tool as Rally is. It's definitely a tool that's more for like teams or really organizations of multiple teams, because it has a lot of features for hierarchy and things like that. So quick plug for Rally. But in the meantime, we're just using Trello. I highly recommend using something like a Trello board. Waffle is another cool one. Just something that helps you get your thoughts out there so you can think about it aside from trying to work on it, because it's too often we find ourselves getting caught in the weeds or going down rabbit holes and being distracted by another bug or another problem or something like that, and we start to lose kind of like the priority, or we even forget our train of thought or where we're going with it. So that's what I do to solve that problem, is I use a Trello board. We can go ahead and mark this one done. Bam. Fuse timer. Oh man, my cat is so mad at me right now. Please don't bite me. Okay, you can rub me. That's cool. All right, so next on the list is creating an inventory of cards. I feel like that's going to be a little difficult, so I might move that down for now. Create a selection engine. That could be cool. I think we should do the dice generator, though. That sounds the most fun. So what we're going to need in the dice generator is basically, like I mentioned, something that can pick a number between 1 and 6, and then something that can pick between 1 of 5 available colors. So we'll go ahead and create a new function, and we're going to call it generate dice result. Just generate dice. That's cool. We'll just call it generate dice. Naming is so freaking hard, man. Hardest thing programming. It's hard because using the right word is really important if you want to be able to communicate to other people you're working with, collaborating, or even really if you want to communicate to yourself, because inevitably you're the one working with your own code later on and you forget what it is you had said about it. A really well chosen name can help with preventing the need for like comments and other things like that to help you decipher your code. So put a lot of thought into your names. All right, so we're going to do 2 things here. One is going to be get random number between 1 and 6. And then the other thing that we're going to need to do here is select random color. Probably going to store these as an array, I'm thinking, and then what we could do is use the same method of randomly generating a number between 1 and 6 to then randomly generate a number between 1 and 5, and just, or well, really 0. I'd want it to be 0. Yeah, so it'd be like 1 and 5. We do -1. I got you. Okay. And then use that to grab a color out of an array at an index. I really like that. Let's do that. So what we're going to have is at some point it's going to be chosen color. And we're going to say that that's going to equal that index. What are we going to call our array? We'll call it colors array. That makes sense. And then that is going to be at index of random color number, color index. Ooh, I like that better. Okay. And then we'll probably have this stored out here, const. I'll actually move it. I like to organize my functions underneath all my variables, so I'll end up moving it up there in a second. But, we're going to call const need a colors array, and that's just going to equal an array of colors. Let's see. Let's pick 5 colors doing this. There's an app I like to use called Coolers. Coolers. So cool. And what it does is it generates 5 colors for you, and you can change it, mix it up, do more colors, less colors, but the default is 5, and it'll create 5 colors that are really like well paired together. As you can see, it's just like generating them there as an example. So we're gonna come up with a little color palette. I want it to be bright. I want it to be fun. I want it to have like almost a gloss feel to it potentially. So all I'm going to do is just hit the spacebar a few times until I get something that pops. And if I knew colors a lot more, so this one pops. I don't like the brown too much. Honestly, I don't like these too much, but it's bright. Yeah, if I knew colors better, I'd probably go pick them, but it's not a skill that I ever had very well, and so I am all about offloading skill deficits to tools, especially things like color and UI preferences, because it's just not my strong point. Ooh, these are cool colors. I think we should do all of them except this one. That way, because these are too close, I want the brighter of the 2 options. We're gonna go ahead and lock these colors. And we're gonna hit spacebar again. It's gonna give us a few more colors until I find the right one. Green, maybe. Ooh, should we do green? This could be fun. It doesn't have as much gloss to it as I'd hoped, but it'll give us something to start with, which is gonna be cool. And so, I'm just gonna do hex codes because that sounds right. And then, so that's green. Go ahead and, no. I was thinking about making a comment that kind of said the order of them, but it's not super crucial. Whatever, let's do it. Let's do it. All right, so we got, it's gonna be green, blue. Sorry, I had another tab open. Green, blue, yellow. What is it? Orange? Orange and red. Don't need to say and. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Copy, copy. So again, coolers. Very cool tool. Spelled like colors, but with an extra O attached to make it cool. Cool colors. Cool colors, man. Cool colors. If anybody has any questions while I'm going along, feel free to ask. Vesperado had a really good one earlier. Appreciated that. The one with the sockets question. That was great. Making our way. Ooh, Sandy Brown. I should have actually copied these real names. That would have been fun. Sandy Brown. I thought it was orange. Alright. And then last but not least, Fire Brick. Fancy. Alright. Pretty cool. Oh man, how do we make random numbers? I haven't done this in forever. Random. I will say random die. Oh man, learn to type, David. Okay. Random die number, and we're gonna say we'll have a reusable function, which will be get random number between or in range. Which honestly, I might not need to do this because the function for making a random number might be that simple. Get random numbers in range. But hey, this is how I like to code, okay? So I'm all about figuring out ways of making it seem less overwhelming, because when you really try to tackle these code problems from the very beginning, it's like the idea can just be so So overwhelming. Hello, hello. Welcome, Krish. Thank you for joining. If you have any questions, let me know. So yeah, basically I find that if I like kind of break out these functions into its own logic, it helps me feel less overwhelmed by it all. It does lead to me writing code that I don't need and I end up throwing away later, which is fine, I think. Anything to try to like reduce the amount of blocks, mental blocks, where you're like, well, crap, what do I do now? Man, when it gets overwhelming, it can definitely be a mental block, I swear. So I think we are going to use, we're going to use the math object, which is an object on JavaScript. And there's these different methods on there like floor, max, ceiling, round, and min. Thank you to my IDE. I love the fact that IDEs can help give all of like the suggestions, or autocompletes, I think is what they call them. So I think what we need to do, let's see, math.floor basically, is that math.floor? I'm gonna go to Google. Like I said previously, I like looking up on Google, kind of just see how things are done quickly if I have any hesitation. So random number between range JavaScript. When people ask me what I do, I never say that I'm a software engineer. I usually say I'm a professional Googler. Oh, they have math. So it looks like the signature for this function is it takes either a single, oh no, yeah, you're gonna use a combination. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, math.floor in combination with math.random times math.floor, and max being the total number. I'm guessing it starts at 0, which is gonna be fine for us. Yeah, that'll be fine. So basically, let's go ahead and write that. And because I couldn't remember how to do it right off the top of my head, instead of just copying and pasting, I think I need to force myself to practice it, which means get random number. I don't even need to say in range, because it's not going to need a range. It's going to be with one variable, which we're going to call max. Sure, why not? Because that's what they use. And we'll say return, it's going to be math.floor. What math.floor does is it trims off the excessive amounts of like digits that JavaScript ends up having when you try to do math on numbers, because of the way that JavaScript handles numbers. It's really weird. So what we're going to do is we're going to feed it math.random. Times that by math.floor again, and inside floor we're going to hand it max. I think that was right. And then we need to hand this, we're going to say 6 and const random color index. Thank you. It's going to be get random, come on, autocomplete. There it is. Number. Ooh, I need to fix that. Okay, get random number. I'm going to say 5. Whenever you change your method names, always make sure you change where you call them. Alright, and then random die number, we'll just console log that for now. Kind of see what it is. Oh man, this is not a very good football game so far. Woof, woof. Poor Cowboys. Alright, die number is gonna be that with both of them. Color index. All right, cool. And then, let's also console log that one and see if our chosen color is working. Cool. Oh, we also need to use this function. So we're going to call generate dice. And inevitably what we're going to do is we're going to return out of this. Well, I might as well just do it. Return. It's going to be, I don't know exactly how we want to do this. It's going to need to be like an object maybe. Oh, yeah. I like that. Let's do an object. So we're going to return an object that's going to have chosen color and random die number. So we can set that to a variable, const dice equals generate dice. Oh, automatic insertion, why not? It's just fun, you know? All right, so let's see, we got the dice. Might as well console log that too. Not what I needed. And we'll call it dice. Sweet. All right. What business? Wait, not right? Yeah, I did. All right. Let's see what we got. So we have our timer. That's still working. That's cool. We have our random dice number, which is going to be 2. We have our color index, which is 2. And it gave us back a color and a number. How cool is that, huh? All right, so one thing I noticed is a little bug that I left in there is we are not doing the index at -1. So we need to come in here and do -1 because arrays are 0-based indices in JavaScript. So let it reload. And then we'll do fuse. And you're going to see here we have a color index of 1, which should translate to the second color. And it does. 3b8. Oh, wait, no, it doesn't. Well, that's weird. Oh, right. No, that's not weird. That makes a lot of sense. So the index is going to be 1 through 5. And then it gets -1. So really the index is 0, I believe. Let's make sure. Chosen random color index. Yeah, we should probably, just for simplicity's sake of knowing this is the case, we're going to say -1. And then let's see, make sure that worked. Hey, we just hit 1 hour. Woot woot. It's not bad. My aim was for at least an hour of coding on this. So. Pretty cool. Chosen color undefined. -1. Why is that? Because it can start as 0. Oh, interesting. So maybe because it can be 0. Ooh, that's not good. I need to fix that part. Let's see. I think it's math dot. Oh, is that right? That's not right. I guess math dot ceiling. And I think you do it on the random. How does math dot random work again? double checking. Returns a floating point. That's the part that I was saying you use math.floor on. Pseudo random number, because nothing's really random in programming. In the range of 0 to less than 1, inclusive of 0 but not 1, with approximately a uniform distribution over that range. What does that mean? So it means that if you give it a range, that would be 0 to less than 1. That makes sense because we're not calling it to the floors and we're not multiplying it by the number. Okay, that makes sense. So how do we give math.random a way of starting at 1 instead of 0? I think it's math.max or ceiling. No, it'd be math.ceiling. What am I doing? So we have a ceiling. Ceiling of 4 is 4. Does math.random take any values? They didn't talk about that, did they? Or at least they didn't cover it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. This is more what I wanted to do. I'm gonna have to because I don't want a zero integer. Yeah, let's do that. That looks better. Yeah, because a zero integer for a dice roll would be bad, and I don't necessarily want to do that. All right, so which means go back to that, and we're gonna have a min, max. Let's just give it a testy. Testies. I'm getting hungry. Somebody also asked what the in-pair programming or pair programmer is in reference to, and it's just it's a play on the word like pair programming. So like I'm a pair programmer. I like to pair with people, and that's the whole idea with this stream is that that we have an opportunity to pair together. That you can hang out with me, I can hang out with you, and we can code together. I think there's a lot of value to be gained by pairing with people. I do that a lot at work, and I really learned a lot, really, through the osmosis, shall we say, of pair programming, through learning by observing other people's tricks of the trade. The whole concept of programming, it's so diverse. There's so many things to learn. There's so many different routes you can take, so many paths. And I think that with that, we're all going to find that we've taken a very uniquely chosen path, no matter who we are and no matter how similar our field is. There's going to be so many little intricacies that one person didn't know, but the other person did. Um, and that goes both ways. I mean, I've been able to teach extremely seniored people to myself things that they never knew throughout their 20 plus years of working in code, and they've obviously teach me plenty too, you know. And I think that's the hope here, is that I can build up enough friends here to hang out with me in code, and we can learn from each other, and you can share with me your little tricks of the trade, and I can hopefully impart some wisdom and share some tricks of my trade, you know. So yeah, that's the thought going forward, hopefully. I'm going to take a quick pause to get up and grab a bite out of the kitchen, and I will be right back. All right, I am back. Thank you for waiting. Sometimes you need a little break, you know? So, on my break, I noticed that we have a little bug with our recently consumed function here. So this this get random integer one didn't quite work how we thought it would. I could show debugging in the browser. This is cool. I haven't shown you this yet. So you can come in here, go to sources, and then let's see, what do we want? We want to open a new tab because we don't have that one open yet. And we're gonna look for use. Oh, that would not be how you type. That is how you type. And within here, we can set little breakpoints to stop the code as it's running and get an idea of what our state of the application is at that moment as it's running all the code. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to create a little breakpoint there. We'll come back here. So we're getting cannot set property inner HTML of null. Okay, that's just because it hasn't rendered yet. That's fine. Yeah, I know. You will exist at one point. Oh my god. Alright. That's not gonna quite work, I guess. Come on. There we go. Okay, that didn't work. Let's just go fix that because that's really a bug anyways. That shouldn't be. So we're doing document get element ID. This is like old school JavaScript. This is not at all going to work well with React. And so part of what's happening there is like it's trying to call this code, but like React hasn't actually rendered this p tag yet down here. So during the code, it's trying to grab this thing, but it doesn't exist yet. And so it's going to just be upset for a while it's like quickly running through this code over and over again, going like, oh, there's an error, there's an error, there's an error, there's an error. Yeah, so what we'll do first is we'll set this to a variable. So first let's const demo tag equals. All right, now that we've done that, we can do something like demo tag, and then we can say something like and demo tag dot html. What that's basically saying is, as this code runs through, it's going to check this. If because of this and it's going to know to evaluate this as truthy or not. So it's going to look to see if we have anything here. If we don't, which was the case where it was erroring, it will not ever complete the rest of what's on the other side of the and that's the idea here. So it checks this for truthy, and then it checks this for, it evaluates that, and if it does, it'll return this equation here. So that said, we can also hold this out now because we have a word for it, demo tag, HTML, even though we're going to inevitably change that, but why not, right? Oh, I can't do that quite. So if, sorry, that was not proper JavaScript. What am I thinking here? So we have this evaluation, and if so, we need to return that. And then if not, we return, I guess, null. Oh, commercials. They get stuck in your head, right? Alright, I'm going to check for a second what I was doing here. So the idea is we have this. We're trying to set the inner HTML to that. That's right. That's what we're trying to do. Okay. So what we need to do is say if demo tag. I'm so sorry. And then this is what's called the ternary. And what it's basically doing is very similar. So it's gonna take demo tag as a variable, and it's gonna evaluate it as a truthy variable or not. Basically, it's just checking to say, like, do you have anything here? If no, if you don't, then just return null. If you do have something there, then go ahead and execute this logic. And what we're going to do in that logic is set the inner HTML to the minutes and seconds. And that's just trying to help cure that bug that we had where it kept blocking us from being able to get to the code I wanted to get to. So while it loads reviews, hopefully we don't have that error constantly again. What's happening? Okay, cool. We did not get the error, and we paused right on our debugger as we had hoped. So what we're going to do here is kind of check out the different variables and see what they equate to, and try to get an idea of why we're returning nan out of this. Nan meaning not a number. So that looks good. Max. Okay, so that's bad. Oh, ha! Here's our bug. So the bug is just that I forgot to include the parameter for the max value. Let's see, where did we do that? That was up here. Max. This gets called where? Here and there. So it should be minimum. And then, so yeah, minimum of 1. This is going to be minimum of 0. This is cool. We do that. Do that. Wait, 4, 5, 5. There's 5 colors. So, and then I think we can do that. The idea with that being we're now handling a range, the min, max being 1 and 6 for the dice and 0 and 4 for the colors, because we have 5 colors and we want a 0-based index. So let's get through that, reload the site, and oh, we got a bug already. Saw something breaking. Oh, I just clicked it too fast. Whoops. Okay, this is looking better. Min, max, it's looking good. And then we got dice number 1, that's accurate. We got color number 0, that's accurate. Awesome. Okay, we're back in business. I think we can go ahead and call that done. That's all we really needed to do was create something that could generate the right data for us to simulate a random dice, which in JavaScript is just going to need to be some kind of object that has key value pairs, I was thinking. Which we got that covered. We got this object, key, chosen color, random die number. So let's go ahead and mark that done. I think the next one that sounds fun to me, if you guys are up for it, is to actually like create a card that like looks like a dice. I'm probably going to steal somebody's pattern for doing this because there's some really cool CSS tricks out there, and I'd like to try to do it with CSS instead of trying to use an SVG or some kind of image. If I can't find a good solution for CSS, then I'll probably end up using an SVG ideally, but that I don't have a lot of familiarity with, so it might be a little struggle, but it'd be good practice. So let's see, we want to create create. We'll call it dice component, I guess. Yeah, that sounds right. Let's give it a label of orange for the right project. Move that into working. So yeah, I think we're in good shape. We can go ahead and remove all these console logs. I don't really need them anymore. I'm one of those people where I forget that I have console logs everywhere, and then I end up having a lot of clutter and mess going, so I just make it a habit to get rid of them as soon as I'm done with them. It's kind of like cooking, you know? Like if you're cooking in the kitchen, it's important to clean as you go, otherwise you end up with a lot of mess at the end. So I know a lot about cooking too, or I'm a huge fan of cooking. There's still always more to learn, but I might end up doing something with Twitch and cooking too if people are interested. Very much into probiotic stuff and fermenting my own things. That part's pretty cool too. I'm not a huge fan of comments. I'm gonna go ahead and remove those, I think. I know some people prefer them. I don't know, it just kind of distracts me a little bit and removes from my code, so I remove them from my code. Obviously, if I was ever working on a project with people, like at work, I adhere to all the comment requirements and stuff like that. I don't mind doing it, but that's the beauty of working within your own projects, is you get to choose how you do it. And there's a lot of options with JavaScript for doing things in different ways. So a lot of expressiveness in code, if you may. So what I'm thinking about doing is we're going to have another component here. It's going to be the dice. And I think, honestly, I'm going to do dice. Let's just do dice. We'll do dice right now, and I'll figure out if I need to do two later. And we just need that. I'm also going to pass props to this because I'm going to want to get the dice. Honestly, let's actually move that logic. Let's not pass props. I almost cursed. Sorry about that. But I do dislike having to prop drill or anything like that. That's why I'm all about functional components, and I'm all about trying to keep logic isolated to where it's needed, you know. So what we're going to do instead, I think, this is all going to move to our new component, which is going to be dice. Dice needs to be imported. Go ahead and do that. Import. Okay. Import dice. And this is going to be, oh my god, let me type. In the same folder. And then it's just going to be called dice. All right. So let's go create that so it doesn't bark at us. Dice.js. We have a new file. Again, we're going to import React. And this is so that the JSX and all of the logic that we're building here is understood. Otherwise, it wouldn't know what to do with it. So it's important to import React if you're going to be returning JSX. What do we want to do first? I guess create the component. So we'll call it dice. And fat arrow function, baby. That's what those are called. The equals and the greater sign. It's a fat arrow function. Ooh, I forgot to say equals. Const dice equals our function. And then that's going to be returning. What do we want to return? Let's use cards. I feel like material design. So material design has all these different like components you can use, and I think a card is what's going to work well for this. Card content. Is there like a card container? No, just card. I think it's probably card. So we'll import card, and then inside there we'll do card content. I think card content. Yeah, that sounds right. I think that's what we'll want. And then what we're gonna do there is we're gonna put the dice. So we'll first come over here. We're gonna do our get random number and generate dice outside of this container. And that. So we're gonna copy all this, remove it from this file. We're gonna remove that because that's not real logic anymore. And move it over here. Doesn't it look so much cleaner now? Like now just separating it from one file to another file, it just looks so much nicer. So much easier to reason about, they say. They say. Who is they, you know? I've always wondered that. I guess it changes, right? It's dynamic. Honestly, I think we could actually move all that logic even outside of here. And then inside of here, we're going to say, honestly, we could just do it here. And generate. And then what that should do is once it tries to render this content, it's going to render a string, I would imagine. It's going to print to string the object. Maybe not. Maybe I need to do this. Well, actually, I think that'll work. Let's just find out. I'm a huge fan of experimental programming. It's too much to remember all the time, and so being somebody who has just trouble with memory anyways, I find that what's quite effective is to oftentimes just try it. Like, oh, I don't know, I think it was something like this. And then, like, usually I'm right because I'm digging back in the memory somewhere. Alright, we got an error. We gotta fix this. What's going on? That we've had before. Okay, this is our error. It did not like that. So, what we're gonna have to do, we have two options. I think this is our best option. And $, and that, plus one more curly on the end. Did that work? No, that did not work. String interpolate. Interpolate. We should get some EDE going instead of this lo-fi. I love the lo-fi though. It's been nice coding to lo-fi hip-hop. It's just so melodic, you know? Alright, what does it want? Oh, this isn't right. No, okay. Let's do this. Let's back all that out. Give up on you. And we're gonna just do generate dice. Let's see what that does. No, yeah, that doesn't work. That's not code. That's gonna just be that. How do I do that? No. See, this is where I wish we had a big community. Anybody out there know what it is I'm trying to do that wants to nudge me in the right direction? Const car dice or die equals generate dice, and then from here what we could do is do that 5 times. I think that's how many we need. Oh, no, it'll be a number of players. That's right, huh? So there's going to be like a certain number of players that come in. That'll probably come through on props, even though I said I don't like props. It'll probably come through on props. But we'll just say, for now, we have const number of players. I'm told I'm supposed to like. Yeah, I don't know about that either. I got a question in the chat about whether or not we're supposed to like Among Us. What is Among Us, anyways? Let's look that up real quick. That's the not the show on like NBC. Oh no, Among Us is the superhero movie or show. I mean, yeah. Oh, it's a game. I was close. I was close. I bet people Twitch this game. Yep, game on Twitch. Yeah. There you go. That's cool. AOC is gonna be doing some Among Us. It's like Mafia song. Oh yeah, that's right. It's like the game Mafia. That's cool. That's cool. So wait, Desperado. Why are you not sure if you like it or not? Have you played it? Just waiting on an answer. So we got number of players equals 2 const die, and then what we're gonna do is pass generate. So now what we need to do is like create a function that is going to. We'll even do a basic for loop. We need to create a function that's going to generate a die for every number of player, because that's how the game goes. Is like you roll a dice for each player that's playing. Not enough with time to invest. Wait, I'm not sure if I follow. What do you mean there's not enough time to invest? Like the game takes a while? We're talking about Among Us again. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna do a for loop. I haven't done an like old school for loop in forever. So it's like for let I is less than number of players, I guess. I think that's how you do this. I plus plus. That's like an incrementer, which just means that do this loop. So it's going to come in here. We have a measure, starts at 0, basically, or nothing. It's going to add 1 to each time that it executes this for loop. And so that variable I, it's going to get incremented. That's why we call these incrementers. And as long as I has not reached this number, which is 2, then it'll continue to loop again. And by loop, I just mean it just runs the same logic over and over again. Yeah, he said exactly. So apparently the game takes a while. I never thought about that, but of course, I mean, it would, right? Because when I play it with fan members and stuff, like the old school original way of playing Mafia, that in of itself always takes forever, but I've always attributed it to just pure chaos of people not getting the game or understanding how to play or something. But I would imagine it does take a while. So is it a game that you play online with other players, I imagine, when you just don't know who they are and stuff? Or I think you were saying it's like more active than that, right? Like it's not like the old school game where you just like kind of sit around and have one person that's doing the caller. And there's like a computer that's doing the calling, and you have to like go by and interact with players and stuff or something, I think, right? Yeah. Sounds fun. I got people asking if the stream's still going. I wanted to go for at least an hour. I'm at an hour and 37, so I'd say we're doing good. All right, so where did we leave off? We were going to do a for loop, and we're looping through generating a new dice for every player. And so what we want to do is we're going to create like a variable, what do we want to call it? We need to create an array, and it's going to contain all of the dice, each die, I guess. Dice array. That sounds pretty straightforward. I got another message. Alright, letting array equals array. We'll say empty array for now. And so all the logic that's inside this for loop is going to be what I execute each time. So we want to add a new dice to the array. So we'll go const dice equals generate dice. And then we're going to say dice array dot push. And this is to add something to the end of the array. So we're going to push onto the array, we're going to push the dice. So this should be turning an object, pushing it onto the array. This should loop, and then by down here, we should have a console log available to us of the dice array. Things are getting dicey. Getting dicey. Alright, dice array is what we want. And then the hope would be we need to figure out some kind of function like this, where it's like dice array. What do we want to do? Map, I guess. Map. We're going to map it, and we're going to do dice or die and fat arrow function for the win. And what this is doing is it's saying that for each dice that's in the dice array, map over or loop through each item that's in there, and then do some logic on that with each item that you return as you loop. So it's going to be going into this dice array, which is going to have an array of different objects on it, and it's going to check each object, and we get to have access to that object as this variable die, and then we can do things on that object. So what we're going to want to do eventually here is return some kind of component that is our dice, right? So we're gonna have to build the dice itself. We'll just call it die. And we probably don't need the second one. These are called self-closing tags. They're pretty cool. And then we need to create a variable. Actually, we might not need to do a variable. We'll just pass die through. And that's cool. Because I guess die is an object, so we could just pass that and spread it. Yeah, let's just do that. I think that would work. Alright, so we need to create this component still. Feel a little weird doing it that way. I think actually what we need to do, this is going to sound a little weird. Thinking a little backwards on this one, I think. What I actually need to do is use this to make the dice, or the die. Return that. That's better. I don't think I'm gonna need these anymore. A little Wilson for you. Did you guys ever watch Home Improvement? That was my show. Still is. I watch it online sometimes. It's fun. So we got to create this little component here. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. And we can move this to another file if we want. Honestly, I think it makes sense to keep it here for now. Doug Funny there. Did you guys ever watch Doug? Alright, so this one will have props. And for now, we'll just turn it into, I think, a square with the number on it and the color on it. That sounds most simple. So a card is already kind of a square in theory, and we can amend it a little bit with some styles. And the content is going to be the number. So it's going to be props, which is going to be an object, and the object is going to be the die, and the die going to have a chosen color and a random die number. So we'll do random die number. I think it's actually props. Oh, also, gonna have to. I always forget to do that. It's so funny. There's certain things that no matter how long you do it for, you always just keep messing it up. But yeah, we'll do props dot. I think it's just props dot random die number. That should be right. And then we will also shoot. How do we do styles again? I'm gonna borrow from my old code. And this make styles function. Well, whatever. Let's do that first. Ooh, maybe I can even do it from scratch. Let's do it from scratch. Ooh, ooh. Okay. And I think you do it inside of the styles. Okay, so we'll do dice styles. And I think you just use make styles. Okay, that's what you gotta do. Import make styles. Yep. And you pass it your function. Remove this for now. Equals make styles. Did it auto import? Nope. Oh, maybe you don't need to. No, you do. Yeah. Come on, auto import for me, baby. Auto import. Oh, it's right there. What am I? It already did. I'm so dumb sometimes. You shouldn't say that. Never down talk yourself. Never say never. So we need to give it a callback function. Callback functions are cool. Basically are quite literally that, a function to call back to. So it basically executes a function for you later on within the function. Like, here, do this within you. Kind of weird. Alright, so it looks like make styles is a theme. And then you can use that theme. Right, but we want to pass it an object. We're going to do that. Cool beans. And then that object is going to have our styles. So the first one's going to be I don't know what to call it. Basically, we're going to need a name for the different sections, I think, potentially. But for right now, it's going to be really simple. We'll just call it dice. And then within that, within that, we are going to create our styles. It's going to be, I guess, background color would be good. Set that. Ooh, here's where things get real interesting. I'm gonna need to do this in here. So what I was just realizing is I need to have access to the props dot chosen color in here. I'm gonna do that. Okay. And just for good measure, we're going to do a height and a width to make sure. I think they come with default ones, but whatever. So height. What do we want to do? Let's just do. How about 12 rems? 12 rem. Did you guys notice the bug I did? Look at this. I didn't even notice. Silly me. Width. And we'll do 12 rems. That might be really big, but who knows. And then what we do here is we'll do it here. And you call class names. Give it a class, and then the class is going to be generated out of that make styles function. So we'll call it it's going to be dice styles. Really, actually, we can do styles dot. Let's do that because it's inside the die function. We can just know that it's so we're going to do styles dot dice, and that should put that CSS on there for us. And die is being consumed down there. Dice is there. Oh man, we are getting close. All we have to do is export default dice. And then make sure it's being consumed. Dice gets put in there. Oh, hotness. Alright, let's see what happens. Oh. We had a little error. That's fine. Dice array 0. Nothing. Wait, what? I think we have a bug somewhere. I think we have a bug in our for loop. So let's see. Let's check that out. If we go to, it's not open yet. Dice. Let me look at the for loop. Plays good. Alright, let's see. That's fine. That's the bug. But I think we're in business because we generated a dice. That's cool. Did it again. And you'll notice it's a different dice than what's on our array. It's cool. All right. Oh, hot damn. Look at that. Didn't take the background color or whatnot, but that might be a bug too. Let's check the CSS real quick. Where would I expect the color? Yeah, on that one. Okay. Looks like you didn't take the styles, maybe. I wonder if I did something wrong with make styles. Not that that matters. That looks right. That all looks right. Classes. I call them classes. No, use styles. Classes. Oh, dope. That's the bug. Might help if I call styles comments. Oh gosh, type away. I mean, really, I could just make it an iffy. Is that too convoluted? I don't know. Probably not. Let's just keep it this way. All right, so we're going to call styles, which gives us classes.dice. Class. So if we do that, we should see some color. In fact, it should be random colors, I think. And it should be, hopefully it should be those colors that we chose from the color palette, if y'all remember way back when. So it should be those colors. And I think it's going to work. Fingers crossed. Oh, I don't need that. Come on. Fingers crossed, I just want to know. Hey! Oof. That's hot. That's hot. Oof. That's hot. Oof. 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 Oh man, I love when code come together like this. It's just so great. So great. That's so great. So great. And there's our dice. Like this, these are literally just different fuse dice. And you'd be like, this is a yellow 5, and this is an orange 2. Which honestly, I don't know, we'll see. I might change up the colors, but right now these are pretty cool. What do you guys think? I'm a fan. I like it so far. This is cool. It's coming right on. All right. Should we call create dice component complete? I mean, the only thing that we didn't do with it that I can think of, the only thing we didn't do with it would be the number of players is currently hard coded. But I mean, I don't really know what to do about that. So here, we can leave a little comment to do. This is what we do about it. Make this dynamically based on number of socket connections and or AI players. I don't really know which one I'm going to build first, but I definitely will have to build one of them at some point if we want to make this game functional. All right. Don't need the console log anymore. We'll go ahead and clean that up. Welcome other members that have joined us. All right. So what do we want to do next? Let's go ahead and mark that card complete and move on with our lives. Moving on. What's the next thing we want to do? Create a win engine, create some cards. Selection engine might be the next good idea. Cards just sound so monotonous. I think I'll probably do a little bit on a stream, but I don't think that anybody wants to hang out and just watch me monotonously type in a bunch of hard-coded values for cards, which is what I'm going to have to do in the beginning since I don't really know how to generate I haven't thought too hard into how to create dynamic cards, which might be an option later on. That could be fun. But I think for first steps, as we iterate, we should just borrow from the cards that already exist within the game. Yeah, let's save that. Let's try the selection engine first. So what we're going to need to do is... Oh man, there's quite a bit to that one too. We're going to need to turn our dice into buttons that have an ability to make a selection. Start there. But inevitably, what a real selection engine is going to need to do is be able to differentiate between users and understand like who selected which option and why, and record that. So we'll start with baby steps, maybe program like some hard-coded values in or something. And we'll start with that. So dice, card component. We could just do this. We're going to make a button. Why not? That sounds right. The whole card is one giant button. Does that sound right? I guess it sounds right. Button, closing tag. Let's go ahead and move this. Alrighty. Hot. And then the button is going to have an on click. And the on click is going to equal on dice click. So now we just need to make a function called on dice click. Go ahead and make that up here. So yeah, const on dice click. Always use autocomplete. If you have the option for the autocomplete, I highly recommend to always use autocomplete. We are humans. We make errors all the time. And one thing that I've found throughout my years of programming is that I am just always going to make little spelling errors or accidentally type something before I type the other one, like a little dyslexia or something. And I'll never notice it. It'll be a bug that like almost ruins my time while I'm sitting here coding, you know. I'll be so frustrated with myself and I go back and it's just because I misspelled chosen or something, you know. So if you ever have the opportunity to autocomplete, I highly recommend just opting into it and relying on it. Use your tools. Use your tools. All right, so what do we want to do on this dice click? Let's just start with something simple because anytime I get overwhelmed by the task to be completed, I go to something simple. We'll say, hello, Twitch. And so in theory, what should happen, in theory, he says, go to views. Ooh, look, new colors again. That's pretty cool. Oh, I'm not going to get over it. I'm going to go to sleep very happy tonight for this. So we click it. Oh no. No on click. That's fair. Ooh, each child on the list should have a unique key prop. So that is an interesting bug that happens in React. It had me a little confused for a little while, actually, when I first ran into it. If you use React, you'll probably want to pay attention to this one if you've ever seen it. Basically, what it's saying is that at some point in my code, I'm doing like a map. I'm mapping over, which was, let's see, we don't need this. That was in the fuse game, if you remember. Oh wait, no, that was in the dice. If I remember, geez, Jimmy. All right, and then down here we do this like dice array.map, and we're returning that. Well, what's happening with this is it's returning multiples of the same component, basically, and React, like literal references to the same component, I think, if I remember correctly. And so what we need to do is hand it a unique key each time. So one real easy way of doing it is just like passing it the value itself. So like we could do key equals, we could do die, we could do the entire thing, but I don't know how that would handle it. So instead we're just gonna name it based off of its chosen color and die number. No, we don't want to do that too, because it is possible to get two of the same dice, I think, because there's more than, yeah. So you could get like 2 red 4s or something like that. So instead of that, we could create an incrementer, or I think, if I remember correctly, like I really want to use the index. So each one of these maps have like an index to them, I think. But I think if you do that, it's a bug somehow. I don't remember why. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and let and then we'll say plus plus, and then we'll give it a key. That should do, if I understand my codes right, is it should start out this incrementer at 0, and the moment it first calls the first map, it's gonna turn it to 1. It's gonna set that key to 1. And each of our dice is gonna get a unique key value, which is gonna be 1 and a 2 and a 3. It's not the hottest, cleanest, but it should fix our problem. Awesome. So we're not getting that same error anymore. These are different errors up here. Yep. Yeah, this is something in my portfolio site. I don't really worry about it. I can go back and clean it up later. This is my portfolio site, by the way. As you can see, there's a whole lot to it. But it does have a link to my code on GitHub if you're ever curious. I do have the site hosted if anybody ever wants to play along as we're doing it. I will be posting the Fuse repo to GitHub later, or maybe I'll even do that as part of this stream. I think give people an example of what it's like to use GitHub and how to use Git and how to post to GitHub and things like that. That could be useful. And then the site itself is under site, and then I also have a GitHub pages is where I have it currently hosted. Use the code, run under the site, and you'll see in source, we have our daily app runner. And then so similar to that, you're gonna have another folder come in here soon. It's gonna be this Fuse folder over here. It's gonna be posted over here. And yeah, that'll be one way to run the code. I think I'll probably also, in addition to this, I'm gonna link this GitHub repo, and at the top of the README, I'll also include a link to my GitHub pages. Might as well do that now. let's see, how do you do Markdown? How do I Markdown? That's another one I forget sometimes. Demo site? I don't know. That sounds about right, I guess. And then you feed it these, I think, and then it's that, if I remember right. Should be good. Is there a preview? Preview. Hey, look at that demo site. Open new tab. And there's the site. Right now I just got the daily site runner, but still has all that. That's cool. All right, fun. If anybody has questions about how to deploy websites, that's a pretty interesting topic, and I plan to do a lot more of that. It's right now only being deployed on GitHub Pages, which is like a static site engine. I don't know what they call it, but it's a way to host static sites or host sites statically within GitHub, kind of. I think it might be a subset of GitHub. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah. That sounds good. All right, let's save it and move on with other commit changes. So right now I'm committing changes to Git, which is our version control. It's just like a way of tracking our progress, or it's like hitting save in a video game, kind of, or like it's a lot more complicated than that. I don't know how long I should go into it, but it would be kind of like if you had the ability to hit save on a video game, but then store all of the information about every save that you ever did and make changes to that, and then that's only one like element of what Git does. You know, there's branching and all kinds of stuff. So it's a very, 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 very powerful tool. It's pretty simple in its in its shallow features, but as you dive deeper, Git can get super complex really quickly. I was quite overwhelmed by Git when I first started. So yeah, cool. We got our little demo, got our portfolio site going. I like it. We got a question in the chat. It says, so by static site, it's like snapshot, or is it, or that it doesn't get into user input. Hold on, let me see if I understand the question. So I'm not sure what you mean by snapshot, but it means that all of your code is just already code. Your code's not dynamic. So like, what's a good example of this? So right now we're using React, and React uses JSX and things like that that are not really understood by the browsers, and so we have to transpile it and turn it into kind of like older code. So if we were to try to host the app in of itself as a whole right now, as it exists, it would require our node modules up here. It would require all of the different logic that we're using to transpile the code. I think we're using React scripts, and we're using, I don't know what else, something else. There's like a React runner. I don't even know what it is anymore, but it's what comes with Create React App. All that to be said, if I tried to host this app as is, I wouldn't be able to host it statically. I would need to host it within some kind of environment, which would be able to run all the logic of like the node modules and the transpilation and stuff, which instead of doing that, what I do is I have this build folder, and the build folder is, I guess, empty right now. That's fun. But basically the build folder Oh, that's right. Yeah, because I moved it all. Sorry. Focus. The build folder is the output of all of my code after it's been processed, shall we say. And that's what I get to hand over to the static server. The reason being is it, here, we can even do a demo. If we do, I think it's, yeah, npm run build right above there. Build. So we run, if we run build, this should fill up. So it's in the process of building. You're gonna watch this like fill up with files. Pause the music on accident. I had to switch AirPods. AirPod was dying on me. Man, this is taking a while, huh? Creating an optimized production build. Okay. So you can see it does this thing called gzipping, which is basically like compressing all of the code, which is really cool. It has that output in build. So we have these static files. So all of our static code, basically meaning like all of our code that we processed, all of our post-processed code exists within here. And this is all code that like browsers would understand, you know? And it's all minified. No, it's not minified. No, it is minified, yeah. So it does like a whole bunch of stuff to the code to prepare it for the web browser to make it faster and things like that. Which this all looks like gibberish to myself even for the most part, and it should, because it's not meant to be for people, it's meant for computers. And this is what a static JavaScript file for my app looks like. As you can tell, it's like massive. It's massive. It's just like huge. So crazy. And that's the power of React. You know, that's the power of using a UI library, is not having to type all of this out. Being able to just like stand up code so quickly. And minified, I should cover, I guess, is like what it's doing is first it translated all of my code into here, 1 second. I need to take a quick pause. All right, I'm back. The love of my life walked in the door, so I had to acknowledge her presence. All right, where did I leave off? Oh yeah, minified code. So what it does is it goes through, it processes all the code into legitimate JavaScript and HTML, like I was mentioning before, how we need to like transpile it. But then after it's processed all of that code, then it processes it again and it removes all of the, or not even removes, it basically like relabels or renames all of our variables. And so we have like, let's say that this used to be a function that had some parameter called like, I'll just say eggs because it starts with me, but we'll just say like, or it used to be called event or something, you know, and it basically like, it reduces the size of the function names, and anything that it can that's not a reserved word, it's going to reduce it down to like a single letter if it can. And so right now function, that's a reserved word, it can't actually do anything with that because the code wouldn't know like what is F, it I wouldn't know that's a function. So it needs it to be a function, but things like what the parameters are, what the variables are, you can reduce all of those down to just single letters, which is wild. It makes your code smaller, and it means that when somebody tries to access your web page, all of your code's going to load faster. Your web page is going to load faster because there's just less data to send across the wire. There's less information for the browser to try to interpret. And what's cool about minified code in this way is like we don't need to do anything to it after this. Like the browser knows what this is, even though it looks like gibberish to us. The browser knows exactly what it is, and it's just as much gibberish to name this event as it is to name it E, as far as the browser is concerned. You know, code is for people. Always remember that. Code is for people. We're not writing code for computers. If we were writing code for computers, we would have left it at binary. Code is always for people. And so when you're writing your code too, remember that, like think about it in terms of like doing yourself a favor, or doing the next programmer down the line a favor of how meticulous you are and how intentional you are with your naming and things like that. And always share your code like this right now, you know, like that's part of the inspiration of trying to start this Twitch stream. And that's the whole inspiration behind open source, is just the idea that we can share with each other and progress quicker. Because there's a lot to do. There's a lot of problems to solve in code. Not enough of us to do it. So always share your code if you can. Obviously, there's legal ramifications for certain kinds of code, to be sure. Oh man, all right. So where were we at? Let's talk about all the minified code, static. Vesperado, do you feel like I answered your question well enough? I'm not sure if I did. Maybe we need to go to Google and see just like how Google would explain it. Static files versus not. There's another question. So like machine language, or really that seems like more readable version. Yeah, no, it's not quite machine language. Machine language is like the ones and zeros, I think. This is still at the same level of the browser code, which is the browser engine. I don't know if you guys know. It's well, I guess it depends on which browser you're using. I typically stick to Chromium browsers, and Chromium uses the Chrome V8 engine, which is pretty old. Chrome V8. And this is the mind, shall we say, that does all the processing of the logic within the browser. Here, this is a better one. So you have like your JavaScript code, source code. It parses it. So what we're handing to the browser was that build, at least in the static one. We hand it something like this, and it goes through and it parses it, and it's like, oh, function. Okay, so now I know to look for the end of this function. It does things like that. It creates an abstract syntax tree. I'm guessing, I actually don't know exactly what that is, but I'm guessing that is just like a kind of like a precursor to the DOM, maybe? I'm not really sure. I should look that up later. Interpreter engine, I'm guessing that's what then like interprets all of the code from its like JavaScript itself into how that would interact with the web page. Ooh, bytecode and compiler turbofan. Wow, this is machine code right here. There you go. Yep. There you go. Ooh, you liked the explanation. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, and exactly, binary like 0111 and all that. That would be basically the machine code. This is like one layer right above it, I think, if I remember right. And then bytecode. And what's super cool about the V8 engine is that this is how Node is built. So if you've ever looked into Node or familiar with it, Node is built on the V8 engine. Let's just do that. Basically, they pulled the engine out of the browser and then made it run outside of a browser environment. So you can still use JavaScript to code things like you would, like if you wanted to build a server, for instance. That's what Node's for, you know. Yep, runtime built on Chrome's V8 JavaScript engine. It's pretty cool. I saw a guy give a presentation on it who was part of like the team that built Node, and he gave an explanation of the V8 engine at this conference that was just mind-blowing to me at the time. Could not believe it. All right, so what do we want to do here? Oh yeah, if you're ever forgetting what you're doing, go back to your Trello board. Create selection engine, that's what we were gonna do. Go and close that. Go and close that. Honestly. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do too? Go ahead and I'll link my GitHub in the chat for everyone. While I'm at it. All right. So what we need to do is get the on-click working. I had that little on-click in there that should be printing to the console, but obviously it's not working. So we could check our on-click. Where do we put that? Dice. Things are getting dicey. All right. The octet? What are we talking about? What was that, Vesperado? What do you mean? Octet doesn't mean K or something hectic. I'm not sure if I follow. After you get back, let me know what you mean. What are we looking for? We're looking for the button on click, on dice click. It's cool. Okay. Seems fine. Button down on click, that should be fine. Oh, he's back. What do you say? The binary. Oh, gotcha. Did you look it up? What the binary was? I'm so glad you're hanging out. This is great. It's nice to have friends. What's the bug here, man? Okay, so we got our on dice click. It's a function, callback. When in doubt, sometimes just reference some of your other code. Like this one. Is it just because I'm not returning it? That feels silly. Might as well try. No, because it still would come in. Yeah, I don't know that dumb. That's dumb. I don't know. It's feeling a little weird here. How do I feel about it? Okay. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay. Click. Oh, dope. All right. I figured out what I was doing wrong. It's 5. No PT. All right, cool. That's funny. Well, now you learn by a little bit, huh? Alright, so the thing I was doing wrong here was I didn't realize the button was this little thing here. I need to put a click on the whole card, really, is what I need to do. Alright, go ahead and close that. Hey, look, hello Twitch. That's cool. Got our console log going. Don't really need to return. Let's go ahead and put this on click. Which actually, really, let's just remove all that. Let's put the on click on the card. I thought it was gonna be bigger, but actually, I want to keep that middle one. Go ahead and move this back. Okay, let's check that out. I think this will get some business where we need to be. Looks like we have a few other people in the room. Welcome. Just to catch you up with what we're doing. We're building Fuse, the game. Fuse is a game, it's a cooperative game with dice. You play on these little cards. You basically try to like solve these or defuse bombs, which are puzzles on the cards. You have to like negotiate, but who's gonna get which dice? So pretty fun. We come in here, click. You can see down here in the counter, right down here, that it keeps clicking. So that's working. That way we could select our dice. Let's see. We have some thoughts to consider here, like how do we want to select dice? How do we want that behavior to go? So I'm kind of thinking, we do something that selects or gives some kind of indication to the user that we've selected a particular card. We'll probably want to do two things here. We're probably going to want to have a selected card and then like a final answer selected or something, is one thing, because in theory you'll want to get to a point where you're like collaborating with people, and in case you accidentally select the wrong card, you would want to be able to like put the card back, or I'm saying card, but really I just mean dice, because you can do that in the game. Like if you have, let's say you pick a dice, but then somebody else is like, oh, I really needed that dice, you can put it back and give it to them or whatever. So we'll have to have two states on the card. Do we want to do that? Maybe not. What's a simpler way of doing that? How can we avoid that? How about we have it where you can always change your selection. Ooh, here's an interesting thought. It could be, once we get to a point where there's different players, each player could have like a particular color assigned to them as a character. Or maybe we could create little avatars or something. And when you select a card, it'll like put your avatar on that card. And then it'll say like, this is your selection. Ooh, I really like that. And then once all 5, or in this case all 2, get selected, then it would submit the selection and it would re-roll a new set of dice. Ooh, I like it. We should do something like that. Oh man, this is gonna be such a big story. I should have broken this out. I think I'm gonna break it out a little bit at least as we go. So, and this is why we do this, because I forget right after I say something. So we're gonna go with the selection button, I guess, first. Or still selection engine. So we'll do avatar. on selected. Dice. Go ahead and add label. I think it's time to change the music. Anybody want anything in particular? Okay, let's see, what should we put on? I need something lively. Let's go with Grizz. You guys like Grizz? All right. Oh, here we go. Yep, that's the jam right there. Oh no, I lost somebody. They're like, no, not the Grizz. That's funny. Oh, this is the remixes too. Let's not do that. Way better. Alright, going back to the original. Alright. Alright, so we want to create the avatar thingy. Just gonna move that in. So what we're thinking is we're gonna have like a little icon just as like who picked what. Let's do this. Let's first adapt our players to be like an array of objects of data on the player, kind of, you know. So it's gonna be like players array dot length. And then I guess we could create the players array outside of it. Oh man, I lost another one. People just aren't feeling the Grizz, I guess. It's funny. But I don't care because I need some Grizz right now to keep me going. Get rid of that, since we're not using buttons anymore at the moment. And what are we trying to do? We need to create, oh yeah, we need to create that like players array. So players array, we can go ahead and do this. My cat's got the zoomies right now. Alright. And what do we want in these? Let's say they have a name. And it'll be Bob. Billy Bob. And what else does it have? It has color. Why not? Color. Why not? Make it easy for now. Alright, and then we'll have another one that's named Billy. Billy Bob. I don't know, what do we want? Maybe like green? That sounds fun. And then, wait, we are using you, right? Ah, players. Cool. I like it. then we'll move this up. So I like my variables towards the top and methods below. Just enough to play. Okay. I'm kind of curious what's on here, so I'm gonna, instead of printing hello Twitch, I'm gonna print props. Should be data about like the content. Oh my gosh, my cat is just tripping balls right now. Pretty great. Ooh, look, we got the same dice. How often does that happen? Watching Clarity in progress. Ooh, that's a dirty song. Oh my god. This cat. Alright, so it didn't really give me anything I was hoping to get. Anything interesting at least. I don't think. Yeah. Alright. So now what we're going to do is when we do the dice click, we're going to figure out which user clicked. Which in this case, we're just going to say it's the first user. No, players, not users. Array die first. We'll just cap. Sure, first. And then from there, what do we want to do? We basically want to build an avatar, sample avatar, and we're going to put that avatar inside the die. How would we do that? We'd have to amend it, kind of like find this item. Well, we could probably use like jQuery or something, but these refs, I could just do a ref, pass a ref to the card content. Ref equals, what do we want to call it? Ooh, this song is great. We have to move this in so I have access to the ref. And I think we should have access to the ref, I guess. Can I do that? Let's find out. Oh, auto import in order. graph is off of React like this. No promises. Oh, that's cool. So it does use the ref. Current. Does that have props and shit? I think it has stuff like that, right? Oh my god, I love React. React's so great. React is so great. It's just like, how do people work without React? I don't know. Oh my gosh, parent element nodes. This is great. This is so great. Okay. Let's double check how to add. I think it's just like how to add child. Yeah. I mean, I guess. Oh yeah. Dynamically add child. My friends and I know, but I'm not doing that. Functional components, come on. I love this song. I love everything this guy makes. Let's see. That's not what I want. Let's go back to this one. Is that what it wants me to do? Just use children? Yeah, but there's something I'm looking for. It's like a pen child or something, right? Can you do that? I wonder if you can do that. Sometimes Google doesn't give me what I'm looking for. Alright, our direct dot append child. That's not a thing. Oh, hell yeah. Can I just put text? No, that was worth a shot. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. But that is what I want. Okay. So, on dice click, what do we want to do? We want to do direct dot current dot append child, and we're gonna do avatar. User avatar. Alright, what was it? User avatar. We need to build an avatar. How do we want to do this? I guess a function, huh? In fact, let's do it immediately in both function. And what do we need? Return. I'm getting tired, I can tell. Alright, we need what, avatar? Just avatar? I think it's just avatar. Let's see what the docs are on that. Avatar. So this is material UI docs. Avatar data display. Wants an alt and a source. What happens if you don't give it an alt or source? I'm not going to give it a source, but we are going to give it an alt. Because we don't have a source. And that's going to be actually user dot. What's on user again? Main. Okay. We can get an empty source for now. Let's get a style going for this bad boy. So we're gonna do avatar. And oh my god, my cat's messing things up again. He's kind of a crazy cat. This is gonna be player. Shit, how do we do that? So the problem being here is I want access to players out there. I'll move it. User. We'll have to figure that one out later once I get a real user thing going anyways. This isn't that important. This is a fun song. Yeah, it's access to there. Looks right. Well, let's just see what happens. Ooh, it's 11 o'clock. I'm gonna have to call it pretty soon. Ooh, that's looking good. Damn. Doesn't seem to be working. So let's see what they say about React. Oh, Node. No, that's a pen child on node. That's probably what it's using. I'm so hungry. Yeah, that makes sense. All of that looks right. Yeah, they want us to use children. Is that what it wants? So, is this what it wants us to do? Very possible. Well, let me check something real quick. So we do the ref, we get the current, and we call children. What does that equate to? An empty HTML collection. Okay. So I think what we could do is just do children. I think. Ooh, a little help from the horn section. Here we go. Na 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 na. Na, 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 na. Oh, it's read only. That makes sense. I know it's just because I'm sleepy and it's late. It's the point in time where I should probably call it a day or take a break or something, but it's late, so it'll probably be calling it a day. Alright, let's do something different here. Let's do use state. I'm gonna do, what do we want on it? Let's just do like a, probably the dice. I should do down there, huh? Yep. 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 Okay. We're gonna do this. We're gonna go players. Ooh, there's a good one. Funk action. What do we want to initialize it to? Players array. Oh, that sounds right. So what that's doing is it's using state. It's going to initialize this piece of state called players, and it has a callback function to set that state, and then initializes it as the players array. Got me all fucked up. It's good food. Alright, what was I doing here? Dad props. I guess I was going to pass players, set players. Alright. Alright. What was I doing here? Alright. Ooh, it's getting late. We have name of the player. I was gonna do something with the dice though. Whereas like if the dice was selected or not. Yeah, I need to do something where the dice is object all also has the player info on it. Oh yeah, PS, go fuck yourself. Such a fun song. Alright, so on the dice click, we need to change our dice, basically. Okay, let's move on dice click. Wait, we don't need to do that. What am I doing? Keep it where it was. We just need to change state. Go, yo, sail. Actually, I think I want to set dice array. Let's put dice in one state. Where is that at? Oh yeah, fiasco. Get the funk down. Generate dice. Man, I am getting really tired. What we're gonna do here? Set dice. Okay, so now we have this dice array that's not a dice array. What we actually need to do, turn that to dice, this to new dice. And we need to set dice. No, not those. Dice. That seems right. Initialize it to an empty array. So I should be pushing on. Okay, I like it. Sweet. I have access to it. Alright, the die. Let's see. What do we need to do here? We need to take a break. No. That's a fun song. Alright, let's see. We are passing the functions through on click. We need to set die. Alright, what do we want to do? We'll say new dice. Dice array. You basically need to find the dice and update its owner. Okay, so we have, how do we do it? We're going to do dice, props. Let's pull all these off of the props. Destruction, baby! If you haven't seen destruction, it's like this. We're going to call players. We're going to call, let's make it alphabetical. Dice, players, set dice. I like this song, it's a good one. I think that's all. And then we say that is equal to props. And what that does is it basically says there's this object, which is our props. So of that, we have the same object, but we want to reduce the object to just these keys and their values and set them equal to this name. So it's like creating a variable. So it's like, here's a variable dice. The dice is going to equal the key value in relation to this object. Oh, I'm getting tired. I think this all looks right so far. Probably won't need this here, actually. Yeah, because what we really want to do is we're just going to like amend this dice array to also contain the owner. So okay, so let's see, we have our new dice array. Which, honestly, let's not do that yet. We're gonna call that hold on, I see what I was gonna do there. The idea is I was just gonna keep doing it up here. Dot. Index. Dyad index. Yeah, die index. So the idea here is first to grab the index of the dice that we're working with within the array, figure out where it's located. Once we have that, we have the index, we're calling it on there, we're getting that particular object. We're trying to create a new property on it or amend that property if it doesn't exist yet, or if it already exists. And setting it equal to the player name that chose it, the player part, we have to still figure out later. Go ahead and make a to-do there. What else do we need to do? Taking that object, so it's playing, we need to set dice, the new dice array. So we need to have a new dice array. Pounds, new dice array equals. Actually, I realize what I just did there. I need to create a different dice array. Okay, I feel like this is on the right track. On dice click. This can come out of there. Back, we can go here. this is where we need it in here, I think. Let's see. User avatar. That's not a function. Why is that not a function? I gotta push on. I gotta push on. And this song is my anthem right now. I should go to bed, but I gotta push on. I gotta push on. Push on. Alright, so it's an array. How is that not a function? Dice dot push. It's not a function. Yeah. Something's wrong here. That's some bullshit. Oh no, that's fine. Oh. So when set dice got called, it got set to a length. Alright, let's see. Looks like somebody jumped in. Welcome, new guest. Gonna be wrapping up here shortly, I think. But we're making good progress. Yeah, that's what's happening. Why is that happening? We have an array, we're pushing on new object, I assume. Dice. Yeah, so dice. It's an array of two objects. Oh, I'm so silly. I'm so silly. So I don't need to return, I don't want to do that. I want to return new dice. I want to hand it new dice. What I need to do is put that outside of your camera. That's it. I think that should get it done. Oh, I did it again. Why does that do that? Did I not fix it right? Oh, dice. Doing it backwards. New dice. No, wait, I did do that, right? Oh, I know what I need to do. I need a new reference, so let's do... Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this to me, guys. Dice copy? Why not dice copy? Type. That's why we were changing the reference too. It's gonna be good. Excuse me. Set dice to that. Oh, I would not be able to keep going if I didn't change up the music. We'd have definitely lost it when I changed it up. Ooh, is this just redoing it a bunch of times? It's gonna add so many dice. Okay, so I have a bug here. I need I need to exit out of this infinite loop, otherwise the browser's gonna crash. Because the problem is it sets new loops over. Okay, maybe I shouldn't do a loop for number of players. I'm trying to create a new dice. Ooh, number of players minus dice.length. Tricky. I bet that'll work. Ooh, this is a good song. I know I say that a lot. is probably already leaked out. Never create infinite loops. This is so bad. Alright. So why do we not have a die at that point? Never wanna let you go. I mean, what are you even? That doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't ever wanna let you go. How is that even possible? It shouldn't be. Nope. What am I looking for? Jeez. Null checks. Good old null checks. Oh, did you look again? You got this. There it is. Good job. Oh, I know what's wrong with my loop. Man, this is why you should definitely take breaks and not code late. Alright. Where's the block at? Or loop. So I need that to be initialized to whatever guy's stop length is. Otherwise. Oh, I know, I already have. Nope. Actually, yeah, that probably would be better than doing that. Just makes more sense. Oh, I should go dead. was maintenance. Not, which is great. That did fix it. Okay. Aww. Cannot set property owner of undefined. That is there. You don't exist. Why don't you exist? Let's see. Die index -1 because die is still undefined. How is that possible? Something changed. Why do you not have die in here? Dice, die, die, die. Alright, let's see what's happening now. Hmm. Interesting. Why is that the case? Shouldn't have players. Die, crops, should have like players and stuff on it, right? But it doesn't. It's unfortunate. Why is die empty? But it's able to pull players, dice, and set die. Son of a bitch, see? Yes, it's just that then. Is that the problem? Alright. I got sleepy because I'm not talking much. We don't need those. Sweet. That worked. I need something different. What are you playing, Grizz? Maybe time for Emancipator. Oh yeah. That's some good music to end it on. Okay, what do I need to do? I need to get the number. It's on the dice. Which is here, so it's gonna be random number. Honestly, we can take this out because that's not gonna be ever. No. Why is that not working anymore? What did we do to you in which you don't work anymore? Oh, I guess it is working. Interesting. It's not re-rendering. This might be where I have to call it a night. Alright, what happens if we do this? New array. That's not good. I want an array with it. Can I spread? Yes. Yes. Give me the spread, baby. Spread them. it's hot. Oh. Okay. Ooh, what are we doing? Are not valid as relaxed children. Okay. So there must be something here. Oh yeah. Okay, so what we want to do. Let's go back to immediately invoking this. And it should be fine. And I think after this, I'm calling it a night. Ooh, you're so slow. Come on. There it is. So that's right. We can go ahead and just turn that one off. Ooh, it re-rendered. Oh my god, it's hot. Die that. Oh, ho, ho. Oh my god, look at that. Oof! Oh, this is my happy dance. My tired happy dance. Man, that one took a while. Okay. Avatar and select die. It's still a work in progress. Alright, let's add this to Git. Now let's add Git diff real quick. It's fine. Actually, we don't want to do one more time. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Add everything. Let's see, we went for 3 hours and almost 4 hours. 4. Let's say episode 1. Sweet. I think that's pretty good for today. I have to clean that up a bit, but all right. Well, this has been fun. I appreciate everybody who's hung on this long. Looks like we still got a few people left in, so if you're there and you're with me, I appreciate you, and I hope to see you again. Definitely going to work on a schedule. I don't have one yet, but try to get a consistent schedule going. I'll let everybody know when we're on to episode 2. So, in the meantime, have a wonderful evening, rest of your night, day, wherever you're at in the world, and cheers.